I guess if you look around the country, there's kind of live staples in every city, and even if you grew up outside of Auckland, you'd know what the Kings Arms was. It's part of a backbone, I guess, and you just watch the gigs that roll through all these venues, and they're really, it's really about the next generation of New Zealand acts. It's about artists that are sort of usually, I guess, on their way to achieving some significant developments in their career, and just really like fulfilling a massively important role in the local music scene.
Well, the Kings Arms, as far as I know, was built in about 1870, and was quite a small establishment, and that is the sports bar side of the original. At some stage, the breweries added this other lounge bar where we have the entertainment, and it's been a very well known place. I mean, lots of people come in here and will say, well, I had my first drink at the King's Arms and my father brought me here. So it does go back a long way. At sort of the end of the list of other pubs that we've had, my husband was the pub owner, of course, and then he died about 15 years ago. So on his death, I decided to carry on.
I think the King's Arms, well, it's a great sort of medium-sized venue that smaller bands can play at, and it's not too expensive for them to hire out to, so it's really good, and it's been here for a long time too, so it's like a rock venue that you can sort of count on it being there. Most things in Auckland sort of come and go very quickly, and so it's nice that the King's Arms has been around for a long time.
Talking about the King's Arms made me feel quite old, actually, because I could really remember when the first sort of rock shows were being put on there, and essentially bands were playing on the floor at that period, and it felt like the King's Arms was really, really far away from the central city, when there are more central venues operating. But over the years it's just grown, and they've put more and more money and attention into the venue, and it's become, like I say, it's a staple. So I was living around the corner from the King's Arms and pretty much spending every Friday night there at the period where they were having their massive noise issues, and so I've seen the venue change quite a bit since they dropped those containers outside. We've
had a lot of battles with noise control being in the city, but we've managed to overcome those. We had to build a sound wall, which was very expensive, over $40,000 to do that, so I had to really commit to that we were going to stick with it. We had a low ceiling here, and I took it out and was very concerned what the sound would be like, and what would the reaction be.
All the changes so far have been a really good thing for the venue. I'm no longer a smoker, but I think it's really important that kind of garden bar atmosphere of the King's Arms is really important, so I hope they don't lose that atmosphere completely, 'cause that kind of social environment is a really big part of what makes the venue so great.
It's run very much as a family business, and I've always liked to think, apart from the music in the evenings, I like to think it's an extension of home. We have the fire going, and people do come in, and once they come in here, they seem to feel that sort of homey feeling.
You walk in the door, and there's usually a bunch of familiar faces straight off the bat. People that you might not know necessarily, but are the crowd from the King's Arms that you've seen many times before. Then from the staff to the people doing production on the night, all that sort of stuff. There's lots of familiar faces if you're a regular visitor. People serious and watching the band, right through to people just having diaries outside and ignoring what's going on, slouching around and hiding in dark corners of the garden bar. No, it's a really nice social environment. It's a place that I feel really comfortable in.
We don't want to be upmarket. This is the King's Arms. This is what it is. That people can come in here. They don't have to have a high dress code. It's very well controlled. We keep it that people feel safe coming here, and it's just been some wonderful nights.
I've been here for about 4 or 5 years now, so over that time I've spent plenty of time at the KA, and I've spent plenty of time at the KA before that as well. A conservative estimate of the number of times I've been there would be in the hundreds, and I hate to think how much money I spent over that time.
We had a wonderful night out here with the Datsons a couple of months ago, and the promoter had asked about having them outside, which I was very doubtful about because of noise control. But in the end, I said, oh, we'll give it a whirl.
I saw the dirt bombs here with the Datsons, and that was, out the back, and it was really full and, very crowded. But then I've seen bands play here to, 20 people, and it's been fine too.
See, some of the bands now don't really start before 9. And it could be, you could say at 9 o'clock, this doesn't look like it's going to be a good night. But by 11 it's packed.
It doesn't really matter where in the world the band comes from, live performances is essential. Bands that produce records that are really successful, that are sure to back it up, are extremely few and far between.
Well, from a playing perspective, I guess, because the stage is a tall one, you can see much more audience. And it's also that thing of being able to really be close to the audience, so they can, reach and steal your pedals or your harmonicas or whatever. It was our the first time we'd played together in 12 years or so, when we did the reunion here, and it was a pretty, massively kind of emotional and important night for all of us, and we had no idea how it was going to go. And this is a sort of ideal venue for that experiment, because back when we used to play, it was, lots of smallish clubs where you're close to the audience and it's sort of a bit of a family kind of vibe, and we wanted to capture that sort of thing again, as opposed to these days often there's big barriers between the audience and the band and all that stuff, and that's just much less fun. You can play to 50 people here and it doesn't feel totally empty, whereas some other, slightly larger venues do feel very empty with that smaller crowd. But you can also pack a few hundred people in here, and that's, then it sort of goes off, and it sounds good. When people want to listen to music, you want it to sound good, and with the PA in here and everything, it has a good sound. It's nice and dead, but not completely dead, and both nights were really good, and the audience was great, and it was very special. I'll remember it for a long time, I think.
I guess from a New Zealand Music Month perspective, we're often associated with the more commercial end of the spectrum, but one of the things that Music Month's about is introducing people to new bands and really trying to, I guess, give a leg up to new acts. And the month of gigs that's just taken place at the KA is on that list of priorities alongside everything else. It's iconic, and there wouldn't be a month that most people in the industry don't go through the doors of the Kings Arms at some point. Personally, it's quite satisfying to help out, get people along to see shows there.
I feel comfortable that the fans that come here are repeat people. The end to me is that everybody has a good time and goes out happy, because we want them back, and we want people going out and saying this is the place to be.